Hello my lovely Vixxens, it's Foxy here, and today I'm here to bring you the much awaited Vengeance Reigns Season 1 recap. I'm gonna make this as in-depth, but as speedy as I possibly can. So in case you need a refresher, or in case you're new to my channel, which if you are, good luck, I decided to put together a huge recap for Vengeance Reigns Season 1. If you need to watch this a few times, no one's gonna judge you. We have a lot of characters, a lot is happening, and I hope you leave this video educated about the realm of Elkeer and ready to dive into Season 2. Shall we begin? Our story begins in the land of Elkeer, a realm of 4 kingdoms, the Northerlands, Sutherlands, Easterlands, and Westerlands, controlled by the great houses of Elkeer, who you'll be meeting soon.
Our story begins in the Westerland kingdom of Darkfront,
where we meet Neptune and Sif Castiel, some bad dudes who are up to some bad things. Their goal is to find the Golden Prince, the last known survivor of House Goldiel, who formerly reigned over Elkeer until they were overthrown by some more bad dudes known as House Falcon. House Falcon is the crown house of Elkeer and reside in Blacksvale of the Sutherlands. House Falcon consists of the king of Elkeer, Altair, and his dark queen, Flara Falcon. Together they made the one and only Prince Lallet Falcon, who hangs a prostitute in his opening scene because reasons. We then find ourselves in the Northern Kingdom of Ravensdale, where we meet our main protagonists, House Sheeran.
House Sheeran is made up of High Lord Tarashi Sheeran and his lady Charisma, as well as all of their foals, Hemrel, Katana, Avila, Avanchi, and Revan.
The oldest Sheeran daughter, Katana, is an independent mare who would rather become a knight than settle for the life of a princess, and much to her surprise, her father Tarashi agrees to this. Next up in Ravensdale, the middle Sheeran daughter, Avila, is preparing to marry a prince of a nearby kingdom, Ironlight. This marriage to Firam Gelric is arranged, and she's not very happy about it, but what can she do other than complain? Probably something, but she'll do that later. Avila and Katana's sweet bonding moment is interrupted by their rambunctious little sister, Avanchi, who wants to be a knight like her big sister Kat and does not want to be called a little filly. Avila gets ready to leave for Ironlight when we're introduced to her older brother, Hemrel, who's just a chill dude with chill vibes, also going on an expedition. He's on his way to Blacksvale to meet with the king, rejecting a marriage proposal from Prince Lallet to any of the Sheeran daughters. Tarashi tells Katana her first quest as a knight is going to be to accompany Hemrel to Blacksvale, and she gets a nifty sword for the adventure. Whoa! We found the Golden Prince! His name is Luca, and he got pushed off a cliff by some sketchy horses, Avalon and Atari Daisier, and conveniently doesn't remember anything. In the woods of Thornthick, youngest Sheeran cult, Revan, is on an adventure with his best friend, Gallos. They've accidentally run into Celtrix territory, a cult of kids training as specialized assassins, and if that isn't weird enough, their leader is the bloodthirsty Bellos, who is collecting these kids for his cult. More on that later, but you'll need to remember Stavros and Quarit. Whitaker too, I guess, but not for long. Revan and Gallos beat the Celtrix cults with some sarcastic remarks and Revan's final blow to Stavros' leg and head on their way. A successful adventure. Meanwhile, in Blacksvale, Flara tells the king she sent horses to the Easterland kingdom of Sunlake in order to overthrow the unstable House Denrook. House Denrook isn't very fond of the Falcons, and Flara would rather put some allies in that castle. King dying? Free real estate. In Sunlake, the Denrook sisters, Kalina and Ilya, grieve their dying father and say goodbye to him as he passes away from old age and is promptly covered by a bright purple rag. Rest in peace, sweet king. But there is no time for grieving in Elkeer. The Falcons have arrived and want the princesses. Ilya and Kalina escape and leave their home and asshole lords behind. Not so fast though, cause oh no, shit, Kalina's been kidnapped. And we have more new characters! Back in Darkfront, there are children carrying out a raid. The Lost Boys, Phoenix, Catrix, Kendon, and Weltrin are a group of rogue foals surviving on their own and raiding camps for supplies. This particular mission doesn't go according to plan, and when surrounded by Castiel horses, Kendon is injured by a kick to the face. The Lost Boys take unconscious Kendon back to their hideout and begin to accept that their leader will go blind. Returning to Ravensdale, sweet Prince Revan and homeboy Gallos are returning from their all-night adventure to Thornthick. They're caught by their older siblings heading out on their own quests, and as they part ways, Hemrel gives Revan a hat with the feather of a red-tailed hawk, the House Sheeran sigil. All the Sheeran siblings say their final goodbyes, and unknown to them, this is the last time they'll all be together. But Avanchi isn't worried about any of this. She's busy stealing her brother's sword. Remember Stavros and Quarit? and maybe Whittaker, they've done an oopsie. The first rule of Celtric's code, outsider hearts don't beat in Thornthik, and Bellos needs to punish one of them for letting the Sheeran colts go. Stavros blames it on Quarit, dick move, but ultimately Whittaker sacrifices himself and says he let them go. He's executed by Bellos, and you can forget about him now. But not Stavros and Quarit. Don't forget about Stavros and Quarit. The Golden Prince! Oh my god, what the hell, that is the nastiest. Luca and Avalon and Atari are traveling to where Luca will be safe. Fun fact. Luca's never safe. Remember when Kalina Denrut got captured? Things are not going any better for her. She's in Blacksvale in front of Lallet and Queen Flara, who, long story short, executes her because she wants to take her homeland of Sun Lake. Lallet was gonna do it, but
I simply want to see the look of defeat on her face before she's killed.
Speaking of things not going better, Avila and the Sheeran squad have arrived in Ironlight, and Avila will never run out of things to complain about. She says her goodbyes to her family and meets her husband-to-be, the ever so charming and handsome and wonderful and loving Prince Firam Gelric. They hit it off just fine. Just Avila's new hoofmaiden insists on ribbons in her mane for her wedding ceremony, but Avila wants her iconic flowers. Her sassy hoofmaiden, Rory, tells that wench off and puts Avila's flowers back. You'll remember Rory. By the way, Rory is a girl, and this will be the final time I ever clarify this. Avila's wedding ceremony is lovely, and there's dancing and shit, and piano music, and crossfades, and Rory's there. Wow, she looks so beautiful on this moonlit night. Firam and Avila escape the crowd for a while, and he's just such a hunk. I mean, he's talking about pulling down the moon for her if she wanted it. Damn, he's just everything a woman could want. But Avila thinks he's creepy McCreeperson, tells him she doesn't love him, and runs off. She probably should have run farther. And farther? And farther. Nothing good is ever going on in Blacksvale, or actually just in the realm of Elkeer. But, Heimrall and Katana have arrived and are greeted by the ever-kind Queen of Elkeer, Flara Falcon. Katana has to stay outside because she's a lady, while her brother meets with the king and turns down the marriage proposal from Prince Lallet to any of the Sheeran daughters. Meanwhile, the dashing and romantic Prince Lallet would never let a lady wait outside, so he invites Katana in. He bullied his half-brother for a little while before this, but that's nothing new. By the way, that's a Varier in it. He is King Altair's bastard son. A few episodes from now, he runs away from the castle because he's tired of getting bullied by his shitty family and is never seen again. Or so you think. Lallet is in full Prince Charming mode when, oh shit, oh damn, rip. The king killed Heimrall. Oh, damn, that sucks. The Falcons take Katana prisoner, and she's no longer a knight. That was short-lived. She's to marry Lallet and be the queen of Elkeer. The Lost Boys are not doing well with Kendon in his coma, but Kendon's mind is fully awake. He has an out-of-body experience and sees himself blind. So, Kalina's dead. But I'm here to tell you, Ilya is going to spend the entire season looking for her, and it's kind of depressing, but you know, she does what she can. Alone, wandering in the woods after fleeing her home of Sun Lake, she comes across some guys and asks to share the fire. She offers them her gold necklace, and they want more. And then not good things happen that I don't feel comfortable talking about what was going to happen if it weren't for Stavros and Quarit. Remember them? They've run away from the Celtrics, and Quarit swears his allegiance to Ilya, vowing to protect her. Stavros is not as cool with this and tells him when the time comes, he'll be on his own, but Quarit stands by his new alliance to the princess. The Golden Prince! Luca, Avalon, and Atari have arrived in Darkfront, where we meet Luca's gracious host, Sif Castiel. She gives him a nice speech about power in the gardens, as you do, and Luca begins to think this place is pretty sketchy. It is pretty sketchy. In Ironlight, Avila hates everything and everyone, and especially Firam, who is oh so nice to her. Avila meets with Novera, Firam's mom, who gives her a lecture that it's okay to not love Firam, but she must love the future foals they have. It's weird. Everyone here is weird. Except Rory, who is talking sense into Avila, telling her she'll find love and herself. We love our inspirational queen. Avila tells Rory she'll find freedom, and they share a look. If you don't think this is gonna get gay, you're mistaken. Avila has lunch with Firam's cousins, the Genters, and it's chaos. There are children spilling drinks and joking about multiplying and breeding with themselves. Chaos. Surprisingly, this is the only thing that hasn't bothered Avila, and when she laughs along with the foals, she is scolded by the family. But she isn't taking any of that. She's leaving with Rory, as she does. Ravensdale is truly the only peaceful place in Elkeer at the moment, where Avanchi and Revan are on an adventure. I miss when the foals just went on adventures. Keep watching, and that just does not happen anymore. The Sheeran foals get bullied by some older kids who make fun of Revan for his sister being tougher than him, and all would have been fine. They would have just walked away if this dude didn't have the audacity to call Avanchi a little filly. So she stabbed him, of course. Avanchi's first kill. Oh my god, I'm so tired. But it never ends. It never ends. Hey, this is the first time we meet Royce. Royce Vixxen is cousin to all the Sheeran foals and is a Sheeran knight. His mom was Tarashi's sister Elia, who we'll learn bits and pieces about along the way. Royce gives Tarashi a letter from Blacksvale breaking the news that Hemril is dead and Katana accepted Lallet's marriage proposal. That's really not fishy at all. Avanci's on another adventure in Ravensdale where she meets Travion, a knight of the Shadow Brigade. The Shadow Brigade is the royal army of Elkeer under control of House Falcon, and they're stopping through Ravensdale to recruit. She spars with Travion and they hit it off. He has good big brother vibes. Thanks, Travion. Things are not looking great for Luca, but I don't know. They never really actually are. Sorry, Luca. Neptune and Sif are secretly plotting to kill him. Most horses are. Oh shit, and then it gets weird. So Avalon's in the gardens and Atari's all, I love you as more than a sister. And Avalon's like, bro, you gotta stop. And then Luca sees and it's just weird. Darkfront is the Alabama of Elkeer. Speaking of things not going good, I can't keep using that as a segue. Nothing is ever going good. Catrix and Weltrin are out picking herbs for Kendant when Catrix is kidnapped by a Castiel guard because they're kind of mad the Lost Boys raided them. Catrix calls Weltrin a man-whore. That's what's important here. By the way, Fearum's not as nice as he was acting. Like, not at all. He tells Avila the game is up and she's to do everything he says and they'll be mating tonight. Avila's consoled by our sweet darling Rory. In Blacksvale, Katana has her first dinner with her new family. She meets Lallet's uncle, Queen Flaira's brother, Sir Variat Windmar, who's a sarcastic asshole and Lord of Sharpson, also head of the Shadow Brigade. He does a lot of things. He's a cool guy. He's brought his irrelevant wife and much more relevant bastard son, Lucas Terathan. Boo, Lucas! Boo! Variat and King Altair have been friends since they were young, so Variat gets all chaotic and tells a story about them pretending to be kings while they were drunk and having mares fawn over them, and all is well except basically everyone but Katana and the king are just super uncomfortable. And then the king starts laughing uncontrollably, and then he fucking dies. Straight up.
Poisoned.
Avila gets a letter in Ironlight that her brother died and she just wants to go home. She's wanted to go home. She still just wants to go home. Kendant is awake. Oh my god, he's blind. Oh shit. Oh, also Catrix is missing. I found Catrix! He's in Darkfront and Neptune is not very happy with him because the Lost Boys raided them for supplies. He tells Avalon to kill Catrix, but she pussies out because it's a time for change and she doesn't want to be an assassin anymore. Bad move, but okay. Catrix tries to escape and is unsuccessful. Oh good, Ravensdale. Nice things are happening in Ravensdale around this time. The Shadow Brigade is in Ravensdale to recruit. The Sheeran foals, and Gallows, but when I say Sheeran foals, I mean Gallows. He's basically one of us. Decide to go watch them train at Fever Creek after Avanci spits some straight Shadow Brigade knowledge, cause
I've been around.
I'll let Avanci fill you in on the Shadow Brigade.
Commander of the Shadow Brigade, Sir Ilian Scythe. Head of Defenses, Sir Zervos Lottie. And Commander, Holder Kennel. And a lot of dickhead knights. But not Travion.
Training goes south when Zervos hears Avanci talking shit from the bushes and challenges her to take on one of his knights. So she does. She whacks that dude. She gets him good until he plays dirty and she pulls out her sword. Avanci learns she can't stab her way through all of her problems and Travion stops her. Also, here we meet a bastard colt, Shadit Furlong, who everyone in the Shadow Brigade likes to bully. He bows to Avanci because she's a lady. The Sheeran foals head home after yet another successful adventure, and Revan and Gallows are impressed by Avanci's courage. In Blacksvale, Lallet prepares to take an adventure of his own to the town of Birdport, where Variat will be showing off the new recruits of the Shadow Brigade. Despite Flaira protesting against it, Lallet allows Katana to go with them. Off to Birdport they go! I wonder how many episodes it'll take for them to get there. You still remember Stavros and Quarit? Stavros has a fight with his inner self, contemplating whether or not to kill Ilia and Quarit and be on his way. He wakes Quarit, who confronts him, but Ilia wakes up before the quarrel gets out of hoof. Quarit makes the executive decision the group travel to Birdport. With limited options, Stavros reluctantly agrees. In Ironlight, Rory comes to Avila to tell her that Fearum requests her in his chambers tonight for their mating. Avila pleads with Rory that she doesn't want to go, and Rory assures her at the end of the night she'll have sweets awaiting her in her chambers and they'll tell stories till the sun comes up. This shit makes me sad. Moving on. I hope you guys appreciate how long it took to recap this shit. Things are stirring up in Ravensdale. Charisma, Mama Sheeran, has gotten word from her brother that the king is dead and Lallet is taking the throne with Katana as his queen. Her brother, Tygan Evrian, is a lord of Green Isles who's known for hearing all the whispers of the land. He's also the #1 cool uncle. She tells Tarashi she'll be traveling to Green Isles to find out all she can about the mysterious deaths of the king and her son. Then she'll go to Birdport to see Katana and Variat Windmar. Tarashi insists Sheeran knights accompany her, but Lady Charisma is an independent mare, a Sheeran trend. And then and Foxx got a new camera. Rory's telling Avila stories after her night with Fearum. You'll hear about that later. Spoilers, it didn't go well. Rory tells a story about a weary princess growing weak after traveling for days on end, running away from a castle. As the mare grows tired, she sees the figure of a silver mare, which she follows through a river until her final resting place, where she sees all those who've loved her surrounding her. I don't know, Rory, kinda dark choice of story for the night, but Avila loves her, so they snuggle. Avanchi's exploring the Shadow Brigade camp in Lower Ravensdale, obviously going everywhere she's not supposed to. She bumps into Travion, who becomes her unofficial tour guide. She watches Shattuck get bullied, cause he's always getting bullied. Avanchi has a soft spot for those kinds of horses. You'll begin to notice a trend. When she's caught by Ilian's scythe, Travion tells the commander she's a colt, a new recruit from Ravensdale named Evan Anaya. Avanchi has successfully joined the Shadow Brigade. Her dream come true! What a happy ending! Katana and the Blacksvale gang of Lucas, Lallet, and Variet are heading to Birdport. Lallet's being whiny as per usual, which lands him in a fight with his uncle, and Lucas and Kat begin to bond. Lucas sweeping her off her hooves with his dry humor and wit. Quite the charmer. Charisma has arrived in Green Isles, where we meet Lord Tygan Evrian, dopest uncle in the land. Well, he and Variet could probably sword fight over that title. Charisma tells her brother that she received the letter that Hemril was murdered by a group of rogues, but she believes King Altair murdered him himself. Tygan fills Charisma in on all he knows of the circumstances of Altair's death, that he was poisoned, and that Variet and his family were there. Finally, he tells Charisma,
"Stallions kill with swords and knives. Mares kill by drowning their victims and poison. They don't like to look their victims in the eyes as they die."
Uh-oh, the Lost Boys made an oopsie. Sleeping peacefully, they awaken to Kheir at the door of their hideout, but it's a trap. Neptune breaks into the Lost Boys' hideout, and the exchange is probably the bloodiest thing that's happened in Vengeance Reign. Neptune plays a game of torture with the Lost Boys, asking a series of questions in order to eliminate who he's going to kill. After brutally torturing Kheir and Weltrin, he prepares to kill Weltrin when he's startled by a rock thrown at him. Blind Kendant has great aim. Kendant has freed Phoenix, and Neptune refuses to fight a blind colt. He decides the game is no longer worth his time and lets the Lost Boys go, assuring them Weltrin will now only die slower. Back in Darkfront, Avalon is being punished by Sif for refusing to kill Kheir. After being gruesomely tortured, she's left for dead, tied to a post in the dungeon. When all hope is lost for Avalon, the Golden Prince arrives to save her. When Luca frees her, Avalon admits that she's slowly fallen in love with him. When Luca tells her he feels the same, she comes clean that she's an assassin for the Castiels and was assigned to kill Luca. She and Atari were the ones who pushed him off the cliff, and when he lived, she believed it was fate that they were meant to be together. Of course, Luca forgives her. Psych! He's not with these trifling-ass hoes. He stabs Avalon in the back, and 99 Problems plays as he walks off. Now on his own, Luca conveniently runs into some new friends. A shady but nice mare, Fencha Africh, and a foal that doesn't talk, Remy. Fencha tells him that they're going to Green Isles, and he should totally come with. Luca agrees, obviously, because he just likes making new friends. They talk about Remy, and Luca recalls hearing Remy's last name. Daisier. In Ironlight, shit is continually hitting the fan. Avila has a fever dream and realizes she's pregnant. Uh-oh. Avanchi's beginning to really explore the Shadow Brigade and witnesses Shattuck once again getting bullied. She stands up for him and the two hit it off. She asks his name, something no one else cares about. He tells her the Shadow Brigade is no place for a filly, but Avanchi doesn't care. She's literally just vibing. While the rest of the Shadow Brigade sleeps, Avanchi meets another knight, Evet Swick, who tells her a story about his armor and asks the story of her sword, which is that she stole it from her brother. Evet asks if Travion is her brother, and missing her own family, she says he is. Okay. The harsh reality of life outside Ravensdale Castle begins to set in for Avanchi when a young colt of the Shadow Brigade breaks his leg and is executed because he isn't fit to travel. Avanchi breaks down in the arsenal, confronted by Shattuck, who tells her he told her the Shadow Brigade was no place for a filly. Avanchi demands to know who Shattuck misses from home, and with some pressure and tears, he admits he misses his younger brother, Emmett Furlong. Remember that name. Travion calls for Evan, telling the bastard to move along, Avanchi correcting him that his name is Shattuck. While Avanchi continues to discover that not being rich and privileged sucks, Charisma is enjoying her vacation in the gardens of Green Isles with her brother Tygan, in case his name slipped your mind. They talk about their foalhood, and we discover the backstory of House Evrian. Sif Castiel, remember her? Is their other sister, once Sif Evrian, and Charisma was meant to marry Neptune. Sif went in her place to protect her sister and fell pregnant with Neptune's foal. When Neptune strangled their foal in front of her, Sif went mad and turned to the dark side. Tygan tells Charisma bringing foals into the world they live in now would be a sin, and one day House Evrian will go down in a blaze of glory, never to be forgotten. Avanchi continues to meet new friends in the Shadow Brigade. Today she meets Hearth Mentith, a recruit from the High Islands, an island separate from Elkeer that has an open written borders agreement with the mainlands. More about them later, but Avanci gets Hearth and Shattuck to bond. She's bringing out the wholesome in the Shadow Brigade. Oh no, this dude. The Shadow Brigade runs into Navos, a wizard who says he speaks for God. He tells them there's a danger where they're going, and they're on the way to visit the Devil's Spawn. Everyone thinks he's a nut job, and Shattuck tells God to get in line when Navos calls his mom a whore and says God hates him. This dude. Oh shit, we're in Birdport. The Blacksvale squad have arrived. They meet up with their guards, who Lallet promptly bullies because that's how he rolls. And Katana almost gets in a sword fight with one of them when he makes fun of her for talking with her sword, but not using it. Kat doesn't fall for taunts though. She's gonna go on an adventure, cause that's what Sheerans do. Who else has arrived in Birdport? Stavros, Quarit, and Ilya. It only takes about a minute for Stavros to call one of the locals ugly and gets into a chase with him. And he almost gets the shit beat out of him, distracted by the king, when Katana saves his ass and puts her sword where her mouth is. Stavros could literally not care less though, he's already on his way. Back in Ravensdale, Tarashi tells Royce he'll be leaving for Ironlight to, finally, rescue abandoned Princess Avila. About time, he's gonna be leaving baby Revan in charge, cause that's kinda his only option, and Revan instantly makes it clear he's not here to play games with his new title of High Lord of Ravensdale. His first order as High Lord is for his knights to fetch he and Gallos food. Bless you, Lord Revan. The Lost Boys are beginning to truly collapse. Weltrin in so much pain, he just makes distressing noises that make everyone sad. A fight breaks out between the once united Lost Boys, Catrix wanting to kill their companion, and Phoenix holding on to hope. Weltrin begs to be put out of his misery, and Phoenix tearfully agrees, Catrix ending Weltrin with a stick to the neck. Cool shot, bro. A time for change for the Lost Boys. Sadly, that was the beginning of the end of the Lost Boys as they begin to fight amongst themselves, Phoenix blaming Catrix for the fall of their group. Catrix tells them he's never loved any of them, and he's done with them, abandoning Kendant and Phoenix. He tells them Hope died along with the Lost Boys, and is on his way. Kendant begins to head off too, Phoenix tearfully pleading for him to stay, though Kendant says his final goodbyes to her. Oh, thank God, Ravensdale is so wholesome. Revan and Gallos are playing Elkeerian House Trivia in the Ravensdale Gardens when Gallos hypes Revan up. He's High Lord of Ravensdale. All of the Northernlands belong to him. They should be on a grand adventure. And so adventure they do, to the Arsenal, where cults aren't usually allowed to play. Gallos urges Revan to pick up a sword, and when he picks up a finely crafted sword with an orange hilt, it triggers a magical flashback to the past, when his sister Avanci had snuck into the Arsenal and played with the same sword. She was caught by her brother Hemril, who explained the sword was meant to be a name day gift for Revan. Hemril promises on her name day he'll also get her a sword. We all know how that went down though. Coming back from his flashback, Revan makes the decision to take the sword. Birdport is truly poppin'. Lady Charisma has arrived. At an inn in Birdport, we're introduced to a new baddie, Tior Fane, also known as the Grinner. He tells Charisma he has a bone to pick with her brother Tygan, when they're interrupted by Variet. He explains the Grinner runs a prisoner camp known as Warren Vale, where he collects horses that are of value to others and negotiates for ransom. He's currently after the missing Avanci Sheeran, knowing Sheeran blood is gold to House Falcon. Variet tells Charisma Katana is safe, and she assures him Avanci has her ways of remaining unfound, not knowing she's also in Birdport. Variet takes Lallet to meet his new recruits of the Shadow Brigade. Hearth Mentith shows off with his fancy trident and beats Lallet in a duel. Wouldn't it be so satisfying if Avanci and Katana interacted? That's too bad! Now we begin to slowly unravel the story of the Golden Prince. Luca doesn't even know who he is, so Fencha explains what she knows of the Golden Prince, and that he's the lost descendant of House Goldiel, which was overthrown by House Falcon. That's really the gist of it. It's extremely long-winded, so just check out the episode at this time code if you want every detail of the lore. Fencha's voice actress was a champion for this monologue. In Alabama, Darkfront, Atari discovers his sister Avalon's dead body, and he is sad. Rip Avalon. Oh, this is intense. Oh, this scene makes me uncomfortable. So, we're back in Ironlight, and as promised, Papa Tarashi has come to save Avila. The Gelricks let her go pretty willingly, other than Firm's mom being like, you're gonna pay for breaking my son's heart. And the Sheerans head on their merry way. Did you think Firm was gonna let his princess get away? All hell breaks loose, and there's a sword fight between Tarashi and Firm. When Firm gets the upper hoof, Avila rushes in and is swiftly saved by her love, Rory. Firm stoops to homophobia levels, cause he's a top-tier asshole, and tells Rory love doesn't exist, ready to end this fight once and for all, when Tarashi trucks him and takes him out. Cue Firm monologue. Firm begs for Tarashi to take his life, explaining how he raped his daughter in an effort to taunt Tarashi to kill him. In the end, Tarashi decides honor conquers vengeance, and walks off with Avila and her lady, leaving Firm alive, alone, and broken. Oh my god, we're getting there, guys. Remember when Charisma said Avanci has her ways of not being found? The Grinner found her. Farewell, Evan and Aya and the Shadow Brigade. Hello, Warrenvale Prison. Things are about to get not so wholesome in Ravensdale. Revan and Gallos are sparring when a group of knights who claim to be from the southern shore ask if they can take shelter in Ravensdale on their travels. Their leader has a letter for our boy Royce, and it's from his father, Ari Vixxen. Revan allows them to stay because he's a sweet, kind High Lord. Too kind. The Golden Prince is traveling with his newfound companions, Lady Fencha and mute Colt Remy, when they run into an Evrian patrol. That's right, #1 Uncle Tygan Evrian. We get to meet his knights, hard-ass Inrit Helm and his apprentice, the gentle boy Asri Kent. Tygan and the Evrian Knights of Green Isles immediately recognize Luca and bow to him, Tygan offering his allegiance and a place for them to stay. Oh, and he and Fencha are friends. Fencha gets around, okay? It's part of her job. Wink, wink. Luca decides to take shelter in Green Isles and quickly bonds with sweet Asri boy. Spoilers. They're gonna be BFFs. So the High Islands I told you about earlier, where Hearth is from. We're gonna meet the rest of his family, who have sick face tats. House Mentith consists of High Lord Baron Mentith, father of all the Mentith foals, who are pretty badass. Eros is the oldest, heir to the High Islands. Then Raya, who is the dope commander of their fleets. And their youngest sister, Kheir. In their introduction, a sailor begs Raya for ships, which she refuses. Eros informs her their traitor brother, Hearth, has been found. He murdered their mother and fled the High Islands, so his siblings are pretty pissed and want vengeance. Raya pressures Eros to send a letter to Ilian Scythe, the commander of the Shadow Brigade, in order to return Hearth so they can sentence him. But Hearth is prepared. He enlists poor Shattet to shoot down Ravens, knowing his siblings are on the hunt for him. Shattet reluctantly agrees after Hearth makes him feel like literal shit. He's very mean to our gentle bean. Kheir, now on his own after disbanding from the Lost Boys, accidentally runs into 2 Celtrix foals in Thornthick. Oh my god, I'm never gonna be able to say Kheir and Celtrix and Kestrel in the same sentence. The older Colt, Kestrel, a high ranker, taunts Kheir and his younger Celtrix low ranker counterpart until Kheir manages to get the upper hoof. He questions the timid low ranker, who he discovers to be Emmett Furlong. Remember that name? Emmett wants no part in the Celtrix, and together the pair kick Kestrel off a cliff, effectively splattering him on some rocks. Rest in peace. Emmett begs Kheir to spare him, and Kheir assures Emmett he's not alone, the two teaming up. Emmett removes his Celtrix paint and is officially free of the cult. Quick and simple Celtrix ranking lesson. Within the Celtrix cult, there are several units of foals. Each unit consists of a unit head, the highest ranking, along with 3 rankings below them that determine the experience and ruthlessness of the foals in the Celtrix. These rankings are, and really try hard to stick with me here, low ranker, mid ranker, and high ranker. You'll know their status by the ticks on their necks. That's all. What's next? On their first day of their journeys together, Emmett admires Kheir's ability to have killed Kestrel with no hesitation, saying he could have never done it himself. Emmett explains he wants to find his brother, Shattet, who's with the Shadow Brigade, and Kheir agrees to travel from town to town searching for them with Emmett. He's got nothing better to do anyway. The two bond, Kheir explaining his pessimistic kill or be killed outlook towards life and that he's never truly loved someone. Emmett vows,
I'll make an effort to make sure you lose someone you care for.
Let's check in with our girl Avanci. Oh, yep. She's a prisoner. She's on her way to the Warrenvale prison camp with 2 other cults awaiting imprisonment, and a pair of ruthless guards who do not treat them kindly. In more wholesome news, Ravensdale is fine and dandy as per usual. Revan, Royce, and Gallos bask in the sun while Royce tells tales of dragons. When Revan goes to leave to check on the stallion staying with them, he touches Royce, which triggers another magical flashback. This time, we visit the old days of Ravensdale. Young Royce and his mother Aelia Sheeran in their cottage. She tells a curious Royce about the dragon riders of the past and tells him they may or may not still exist. Revan wakes up to Royce and Gallos worried about him and his incoherent muttering of Royce's past and dragons. Meanwhile, in Birdport, things are also going swimmingly. Katana and her husband's bastard cousin Lucas are madly in love, and after much persuasion, Lucas coerces Katana into a plan to poison King Lallet. Rory and Avila are safe at last and on their way home to Ravensdale. Rory is thankful of Tarashi for freeing her from slavery in Ironlight, but when she thanks him and offers him her services, she discovers he's a homophobic douche canoe. He tells Rory he'll need to change her, and she isn't to speak another word about what she feels for Avila. Peaceful, peaceful Ravensdale. Royce contemplates opening the letter the stallions brought, claiming it was from his father, but he doesn't have time to read it before, oh shit, damn it, Ravensdale's on fire. Turns out their guests pulled a sneaky on young High Lord Revan, and they raid Ravensdale Castle, attempting to kill Revan and Gallows. The Sheeran Knights defend their homestead, and even Gallows gets a kill. Royce has a final standoff with their leader, who asks if he read his father's letter. Royce demands to know who sent them, and he reveals they were sent by Royce's father, Ari Vixxen, and he full-on murks this guy. The Sheerans claim victory, Royce proclaiming he's never been a Vixxen and will always be a Sheeran. Post-battle, Revan has his wounds tended to, and Royce sends Gallows home. Revan breaks down to Royce, the two arguing about Revan's irresponsibility and the fact that he needs Royce. Revan fears none of his family will ever come home, but Royce assures him they will, and that he's his family too. Back to the High Islands, where we meet face-tatted little sister to the Menthiths, Kheir. She only has one thing on her mind: world domination. Her older sister Raya comes to her, telling her hearth has been found and that they'll be sending a raven to the Shadow Brigade. Kheir warns her arrows will snitch to their dad, and he'll be royally pissed. She begs Raya to let her go to the mainlands of Elkeer and find Hearth herself. And so, as these independent mares do, Kheir goes on her adventure. Avanci and her captive friends receive word that their families will not be paying their ransom, and they're free to be killed. After a scramble with the guards, Avanci threatens to jump off a cliff if the guards don't let the colts live. They might not be valuable, but they need her, and they now come as a package deal. One guard refuses to be bossed around by a little filly, but this old man's had enough of his shit and kills him, reluctantly taking them all so he can just be done with this job. When they finally arrive in Warrenvale, Avanci realizes she's hit rock bottom. She and her companions are thrown into a cell where Avanci assures them she'll make sure they'll be freed. They tell her they can do it on their own, and we find out their backstory, that they're highborn colts from an abusive home where their father did horrible things to their family. They're on a journey of vengeance and plan to murder their father. Avanci says they'll see freedom, and that
I need to avenge someone as well.
She also quickly discovers her new job sucks. She's collected to be a toiler, which means she'll be disposing of dead bodies in Warrenvale, throwing them into the void. Bet she's thinking twice about running off with the Shadow Brigade. The Golden Prince, Luca, is beginning to settle in Green Isles with the help of his faithful companion, Asri. Luca overhears Tygan and one of his knights discussing a letter from the Grinner that he has his niece, Avanci. Tygan, the cool uncle he is, vows to always choose blood first and says he'll trade the Golden Prince for Avanci. After the guard exits, Tygan notices Luca and assures him to trust him and that he knows what he's doing. He tells Luca he's on his side, but Luca is rightfully sketched. Eventually, Luca is persuaded that Tygan is to be trusted because, I mean, you can't say no to him. He's just such a chill dude. Also, Luca just trusts everyone. You'd think he'd learn. Catrix and Emmett's game of I Spy is interrupted by a mare running from a pair of stallions who claim she's stolen their supplies. The stallions pass, the mare sheltering Emmett and Catrix from being spotted. She introduces herself as Mel Rosin. She tells them she's seen the Shadow Brigade passing through a nearby town called Dapplegray. She offers to take them there, but Catrix is against it, not wanting to take directions from a mare. Ultimately, Emmett decides to go with Mel to find his brother, and he and Catrix prepare to part ways. Catrix is reminded he once walked away and lost those he cared about forever, so he decides to stick with Emmett and Mel. In Ironlight, Fearum is in an absolute mad downward spiral, talking to himself in the mirror, calling himself a monster for all he's done to Avila. Mid-crisis, he has an unexpected visitor, Neptune Castiel, who explains to him he was like Fearum once. Neptune tells him the story of his fall, and that he felt as though by creating another one of himself, he created a monster. He strangled his cult from preventing another Neptune in the world. He lifts Fearum up, telling him he sees him as a weapon of mass destruction. Ravensdale is back to being wholesome. And look who else is back! Avila and Revan are finally reunited, but Revan touching Avila triggers a magical flashback that reveals to Revan the love that has been blossoming between Rory and Avila. He hurries off to spar with Gallows, and Avila reminisces about her foalhood with Rory. But not for long, cause dickhead Tarashi is gonna interrupt them and tell Rory being gay isn't cool, cause he's lame as fuck. In the middle of the night, Revan is awoken by strange horses at the foot of his bed who tell him he needs to find his sword, and he grows weaker every moment he's away from it. A strange aura guides him to Avila's room where he finds his sword, but wakes his sister. She tells him his brother had wanted him to have the sword, and Revan gets dark and broody, telling her he's dead and that
there is no life after death. There's only death.
Revan asks if she loves the mare she brought home with her, and Avila tells him she does, but she's afraid of being different. Revan simply tells her,
I think you should be afraid of being the same as everyone else.
The next day, Avila's practicing her posture like the lady she is when Rory comes to see her. The two share a cute moment, but not before a Sheeran knight walks by and Avila pulls away from her. I'm literally losing my fucking mind. This triggers a fight between them, Rory accusing Avila of being afraid to be seen with her. But the two ultimately settle their disagreements, Avila vowing she loves her and is unafraid. We're now reaching our Byrdport finale. Ilya is deciding where she needs to work to make money for a sellsword to find her dead sister. She lands on a brothel, and her trial is short-lived when she's recognized by a stallion as the lost princess Ilya Denruk, and tells the lead mare about the ransom. Stavros and Quarit hear her screams and get into a short squabble with the mares outside, Quarit rushing in to save Ilya. What he does manage to rush into is a knife, though. R.I.P. Quarit. Teary-eyed Stavros flees the scene, leaving Ilya, who also races off in her own direction with Byrdport stallions on her hooves. The time has come for Katana to execute her evil plan with Lucas. She's at a gathering in Byrdport with Lallet, Variat, and Lucas when her mother surprises her. The two embrace, though it isn't long before Lallet begins to interrogate Charisma, wondering why she went to visit her brother Tigan. She's offered some refreshments, and we pull away from the crowd for an exchange between Katana and Variat, where they reminisce about family and how nice it must be to see her mother. Variat tells her he'd do anything to protect Lallet, but Katana lets him know it's too late. When Variat goes to question her, she drops her vial of poison from her bag. Variat slaps Lallet's drink from his hooves, and all hell breaks loose, but the poison has gone to Charisma. She chokes to death as Katana pleads for her to be okay, but she's lost. Katana is taken prisoner by House Falcon for attempted murder, and let me just say right now, her storyline doesn't have a happy ending. We're on to the finale! Hope you're still with me. It's midnight. I've been writing this script for 10 hours. In the High Islands, things are also looking bleak. Kheir has headed off on her voyage to the mainlands of Elkeer to find their traitor brother, and as she suspected, Eros snitched to their dad. He scolds Raya, and Raya reveals there's nothing he can do anyway, as Kheir is on her way to Elkeer after Hearth. He commands that all the ports are shut down until Kheir is found, but it's too late for that. Meanwhile, our darling Katana is imprisoned in Blacksvale. She's broken, visited by Lucas, who taunts her and tells her their love was never true. He offers her poison, telling her she shouldn't go out by Lallet's blade, but she spits the poison back at him, laughing. Finally, Katana and Lucas part ways.
The final chapter. The Queen and the Bastard. The end.
Lucas's ulterior motives are revealed when he has a conversation in the Blacksvale Gardens with Queen Flara. They had worked together to set up Katana, Flara promising to legitimize him as a Windmar rather than a bastard. But Flara's now going back on her promise, telling Lucas he'll always be a bastard. Back to wholesome Ravensdale. Avila proposed to Rory with a field of flowers. Yay, Ravila! She said yes, by the way. And we find out why Fensha has been pretty shady. She's also an assassin for House Castiel, meeting up with Atari, who gives her news of Avalon's death. Atari asks how Remy is, who's revealed to be his son, born of incest. Fensha tells him he's never to see Remy, and they part ways. Royce finally opened his letter. Awaiting him in the woods on a moonlit night is his father, Ari Vixxen, who'd abandoned him as a foal after killing his mother. Ari has signed his life away to the Lord of Darkness, Neptune Castiel, deciding between being killed or doing all Neptune says. He taunts Royce and tells him the Sheerans only see him as a servant, and after much back and forth, Royce finally asks what Ari wants him to do. Ari tells him he'll soon need to decide whether he's Royce Vixxen or a dead horse. And finally, we return to Blacksvale for one more round of absolute heartbreak before a 4-year-long wait that now brings us to Season 2. Katana is brought before House Falcon and trialed for her crimes against their family. She's questioned about the poison and hides the fact that Lucas was involved, thinking it wouldn't do much anyway. In her final moments, she threatens Lallet, telling him one day the horses of Elkeer will rise and tear him apart like wolves. Variat and Katana say their final goodbyes, and our brave knight is sentenced to die. And that's it, boys! Oh my god. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, if you made it all the way to the end. I hope it made sense to you, and now you are ready to tackle Vengeance Reigns Season 2 and fully understand all that's going on. As the creator, though, I do highly recommend that if you haven't seen the first season, that you do go back and watch all of the episodes, because I promise the journey with all of the characters is really fun and rewarding, and it'll probably make Season 2 that much more nostalgic and enjoyable for you. But I'm not going to tell you what to do. You don't have to spend 5.5 hours of your life watching a Plastic Horse series. You just have to watch this video. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel for more mediocre content. Leave a comment down below saying something. I don't know. And I love you all, my lovely Vixxens, and I will see you in the next episode of Vengeance Reigns. Shine on!